challenges faced by SMBs, small and medium-sized businesses, in adopting technology. Topic of my conversation today with Craig Scott. He is CEO and president of MFGX. Hi, Craig.
How are you, Robert?
Good. Thanks for joining me. Craig, what do you see as the challenge that SMBs face today in starting their technology journey with standalone applications?
Well, there's a number of challenges that we see in working with various companies, in different industries. I think first and foremost, one of the big challenges is the information overload that they're presented with via social media, different marketing. Just an overwhelming number of buzzwords out there that companies have to navigate through, right? So there's a lot of products out there really focused on trying to sell you software rather than partnering with you for your continued success. So they often don't have the technical leadership, either the CIO, CTO roles within the organization that help them try to navigate through some of those challenges.
Well, just about everything is in the cloud now, software as a service or SaaS. And yet, what do you think are the limitations of SaaS point solutions?
Well, that's a great question. It comes up quite often. So, first thing I'd like to do is take a second here. What is a point solution, right? It's designed to address a single thing, right? Typically, we refer to them as one-trick ponies, right? Whether it be something in manufacturing, accounting, but addresses one specific need the business may have rather than a broader set of challenges that they're facing. So, specifically, we see a lot of these providers, they prey upon the SMB space. They're offering them really appealing, simple, intuitive, easy to use software to a fault, right? These things are so simple and easy, they're not extensible or flexible for these businesses. So they get stuck, pigeonholed, if you will, with these solutions as they try to grow. So the other thing here is that these types of solutions will drive the organization further apart eventually. You end up with these data silos, information's being collected here and there, but nothing's talking with the other things within the organization. So these SMBs are stuck compiling data more than they are being able to act upon the data, which is really challenging and frustrating.
And they might start, of course, by definition, they are relatively small, but a successful company must scale at some point. So what are the biggest missteps you see that companies are making from a technology perspective as they grow?
Right. Well, we could spend a lot of time on this one, but I'll try to make it short. So the first thing, Robert, is that implementing software or any type of digital solution without a clear vision of your future state is by far the biggest mistake that we've seen, right? Too many of these SMBs, they're small. They're, oftentimes they're understaffed, and they're so focused on the problems that are right in front of them rather than what tomorrow may look like. So that leads them down a disastrous path right from the beginning. They also need to consider that this should be a constant evolution for their digital journey, right? It's like continuous improvement in manufacturing processes. A lot of the SMBs that we speak with, first of all, they're apprehensive to invest in solutions at all.
The resources are limited too, are they not?
Resources are extremely limited, right? Money is hard to come by. You have to work very hard for it. Margins are slim in the global economy. So, spending money on, SaaS solutions or any kind of solutions, oftentimes they have to wonder, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? So, we see that a lot. I also see it in the smaller enterprises, they focus on purchasing software rather than evaluating SaaS solutions. There's this thought that if I own this, it's going to be less expensive for me in the long run, right? And then really what that boils down to is now we're purchasing some perpetual license, we're installing software on-prem, but they don't think about the longer term effects of doing that. I'm spending money on servers, IT staff, additional support. But beyond that, what about the risks? What about cybersecurity, right? These small businesses, they can't afford the types of security protocols that an Azure or AWS can provide, right? So there's there's all of these different considerations that we try to, influence clients to consider.
Right. Okay, so
yeah.
you're juggling a bunch of, trying to integrate disparate systems. It's not working. It's basically just underscoring what was probably already a functional siloed, organization, because organizations are so naturally that so often. What then are some technology alternatives that SMBs can draw from in order to address this problem early on, given the limitations and constraints that you described?
Yeah, it's a great question. Again, so there's a couple things here. The first thing that I generally see these SMBs move towards or consider is this this idea of a silver bullet being an ERP system, right? We need to get a new ERP because we want to get all this information in one spot. It's going to be great. It's going to solve all of our problems. It just never really happens that way. There's different tiers of ERPs out there, and typically the ones that people are looking at, again, are really just a conglomeration of different point solutions that have been piecemealed together. So they find themselves in the same spot, and as you said, companies need to grow, right? We want to grow. We want to get bigger and be more successful. And so you get stuck in an ERP that actually inhibits that growth, and that's a problem. So that's one piece of technology that people look at. The other thing I think they really should consider is the concept of a platform, right? So if you think of platform by definition, something like Salesforce.com, right? This is something that you can build on and grow into over time. You can take small pieces as you go. And so rather than focusing on, this one piece of software, this ERP, you hear all the horror stories about, consider the alternatives.
Okay. ERP, enterprise resource planning. So leave us then with, let's say, 3 guiding principles that companies could keep in mind when they're scaling their technology as their business grows.
Yeah. So the 3 principles that I can come up with kind of summarize, the first part of our conversation here. First and foremost is don't invest without having a strategy in hand, right? Know what you need for today, but focus really on what you're going to need tomorrow and what's the go forward plan. A lot of manufacturers will have antiquated equipment. Sometimes it belongs in a museum. Well, you're not going to have that forever, right? Hopefully not. Hopefully we're progressing in the digital age with more automation. So let's think about that from a software perspective and keep that in mind, right? The second point, I would focus on some type of platform. It's a newer term in the industry, and a platform is going to give you a stabilization so that you can grow with it over time and not be pigeonholed with off the shelf or out of the box functionality. So I think that's really important. And thirdly, don't not consider SaaS software, right? I mean, from a security perspective, usability, and a cost standpoint, it really is much more economical and just better for the business overall than anything else that's out there.
Some great advice, Craig. Thank you so much for helping us understand how SMBs can approach the whole question of technology investment in a rational and far-seeing way while meeting their needs of the moment as well. But I want to take a quick moment to ask you a little bit about MFGX itself and your product FUUZ. Could you explain how that fits into the picture that we've been talking about here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've got almost 2 decades in manufacturing experience myself, and I've got a manufacturing degree actually. So wasn't born into the software world, but I learned a lot about what manufacturers need through the first part of my career, and that led us to developing the FUUZ platform. It's a platform, and what it allows our customers to do is connect their machinery, their people, their data, all in a single, cohesive environment. So we can bolt on to ERPs or accounting packages, provide them with MES, warehouse management, transportation management, and a lot of different solutions that they can grow into as they grow as an organization.
Well, Craig Scott, once again from MFGX, thanks again for explaining this whole picture of SMBs, the technology investment, as well as telling us a little bit about MFGX and FUUZ itself. Thanks for being with me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.